Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I see that people are gradually joining us, but we do have a very packed agenda today, so let us start. Let us make a start. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar titled Digital Learning in the City, Leveraging AI for Inclusive Learning. My name is Katie Jones, and I form part of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities, or GNLC, coordination team at the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, UIL. I'm delighted to be the moderator for today's session. Today's event is the fourth in a series of 6 webinars we are hosting this year in the framework of the GNLC. Throughout the year, we will be exploring a broad range of topics focused on fostering learning opportunities for people of all ages at the local level. Each session will address different themes and highlight the needs of diverse learner groups. The topic we are addressing today is particularly important because, when implemented in an inclusive manner, digital technologies and AI have the scope to ensure equitable access to quality education, bridging gaps in opportunity, and fostering lifelong learning for members of diverse urban communities. Let us begin with a quick overview of today's agenda. First of all, we will hear from Miss Viola Pinzi, a technical advisor at the European Association for the Education of Adults, the EAEA. We will then have presentations from 4 learning cities: Glasgow in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Yeonpyeong-gu in the Republic of Korea, Mexico City in Mexico, and Envigado in Colombia. Following these interventions, we will proceed to an open discussion with questions from the audience, time permitting. We have quite a packed agenda today, as I mentioned, so I would like to kindly ask all speakers to strictly stick to their allotted times, so we're able to take some questions at the end. Lastly, I would like to share 3 important technical points. First, this event is being recorded and will later be available via the UIL website. Secondly, we warmly invite you to please use the chat box for any comments you may have during today's event, or to let us know where you are joining us from. However, please do use the Q&A box for any questions you have for our speakers. We will do our very best to address as many of your questions as possible. Finally, interpretation is available throughout today's webinar in Arabic, French, Spanish, and Chinese. I would like to warmly thank all of our partners who are supporting us with language interpretation. Korean interpretation is kindly provided by Yeonpyeong-gu in the Republic of Korea. Chinese interpretation is provided by the Shanghai Municipal Institute for Lifelong Education, or SMILE, in the People's Republic of China. And for Arabic interpretation, this is provided by the Regional Centre of Quality and Excellence in Education, the RCQE, under the auspices of UNESCO, located in Jubail in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much to our partners for making this webinar more accessible through your support. Now, without further ado, let us hear from our first speaker today, Ms. Viola Pinzi, Technical Advisor at the European Association for the Education of Adults. Viola, you have 8 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And thank you, Katie, and the colleagues of UIL, of course, for having us here today. I hope you can see the slides. Have I loaded properly? Okay. So as
Yes.
Katie mentioned, I work.
Viola, just to say, we do see the slides, but if you could go into slideshow mode, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Is it now? Because I think it's still loading. Can you see the slideshow?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Katie was mentioning, I work at the European Association for Education of Adults, which is an NGO, a European NGO based in Brussels. So of course, our work is focusing on the European aspects, but we work also extensively on association and networks for all over the globe. So I was asked today to give a bit of an introduction, let's say, to the topic. So I was thinking to start our conversation with a bit of clarification or disambiguation, we could say, when we talk about digitalization in education, or specifically adult education. It's a field, let's say, it includes a lot of processes, different processes, of course, not just the learning process. So one of the most important aspects, of course, to tackle when we talk about this is competence. So digital skills and competences. And these are also, let's say, affecting the processes of learning at different levels. There is the personal level, of course, for learners, educators. There is the professional competence of educators, which is not necessarily as using, let's say, digital tools for personal use. And then there is, of course, the competence of the providers. Another important aspect is, of course, what I would call globally infrastructure, so the organizational capacity. And for organizational capacity, we can think of a very big university, but we can think also about a community center or a learning center or even a library or even a non-formal, let's say, association. And here, of course, we have the network, so the actual, for example, access to the internet or even the electrical network in some cases. We have the devices of all kinds. And we have the software and licenses. So we have the actual tools that we may want to use for a digital process, including a digital learning process. And within this, of course, we have what we call emerging technologies. And within emerging technology, we have the subset of what we call the AI-based tools. So I was just wanted to frame a bit also the type of elements we're dealing with. And last but not least, of course, we had the learning process itself. So how design a learning process with technology. There is also this acronym here, which stands for technology enhanced teaching. So how we use actually technologies in a way that is valuable, relevant, useful, and inclusive in the learning process. And this is, again, a very important question because we will not use the same tools, we will not use the same modalities for all our programs. Another very important point, as I mentioned, for at least in the AIA, of course, vision, and here you can see also the links after we will share presentation to our learning manifesto, is the importance of considering the digitalization processing from also the point of view of what we call life skills, which of course include the digital skills, but it's really a set of skills, a set of competence that people, anybody, every one of us needs for being, participate in society and living their life. And the other side, of course, the importance of inclusion and social justice. So the use of digital tools is very useful, can be very useful, can be very advantageous. At the same time, we need to avoid the risk of further marginalization instead of increasing, let's say, access. So these are, let's say, the fundamental aspects. We have also very recently conducting a research with some European partners in 6 European countries with Algebra University in Croatia. This is just a small preview because the report is not published yet, but it will be very soon. So I just wanted to give you a hint. Is quite relevant because it's focusing exactly on how to use emerging technology in literacy programs for adult education. So literacy means language literacy, financial literacy, and so on. And indeed, here, the most important aspect emerging from this was the fact that inclusion is not just about the technology. We really need to think about the competence of the learners. We really need to think about the digital, social, and emotional aspect all at once, including, for example, the learner need to be confident, need to be trusting the tools, need to trust the process, but also, of course, their own motivation to use such, let's say, digital element. And then very specific about emerging technology, what we observed is that, of course, there are already quite some, let's say, AI-based tools for learning, platforms, data-driven tools. And this is a very big field I can really summarize in 8 minutes, I think. But let's call them AI-based tools. Although, at least in our experience, the use of these tools in adult education is still quite scattered, fragmented. Often, of course, we see how much the barriers of use of digital tools in learning in general are very important. For example, indeed the lack of training of educators. So another very important aspect is the short-term planning. So the availability actually of the tools in that sense. So to give a bit of, as I say, a start of this conversation today, I was just putting together these elements I would call aspect to be discussed, to be explored whenever a training provider, a city, a community center, whoever want to design a digital learning solution for adult education, for adults, need to go through, in my opinion, as a mini, let's say, implementation plan. The first and most important aspect is that technology in terms of learning needs to be contextualized. So we need really to think about the local needs, of course, of the context, but also the learner, And the other, I would say, the second most important aspect for me would be the long-term sustainability. So we need to make plans of the using this kind of tools that can be supported and sustained in the long term. And the most specific aspect we could list are, of course, as for the learning design itself, as for any learning program, the outcomes. So what do we want to obtain, what do we want to achieve, what we want our learners, our citizens to do with these programs, but also, of course, the method, the environment. We would not use the same tool if we want to do a master or we want to do a micro-learning experience of 5 minutes. Then, more specifically for emerging technology solution, I give a very serious thought. So this can be turned into a sort of question we can ask ourselves. The ethical consideration, I think we all have heard how the, let's say, more advanced technology sometimes still may not use a very wide, broad set of data in the background, which means that they can be working better for certain audiences or for certain groups, for certain demographics. So we need to be aware of that when we do a digital solution. Accessibility, as I mentioned before, is not just about technology, it's about knowledge, it's about competence, it's about the literacy to use these tools at all levels. Of course, it is about the technology, which kind of solution, LETech, ALTech. It is about the infrastructure, even the weather. I have a house in a mountain area. In winter, it's very difficult to use heavy data-driven solution. And of course, legal aspects. For example, the fact that if we use very structured tools, often there is a bit of a trade-off. Very structured, very complex tool use a lot of data. This means that this data needs to be collected, needs to be shared. Not all learner even could be very comfortable to create an account, for example, on an online platform. And finally, as I mentioned, very important, the sustainability plan. So we need to share a solution that we know we can provide in the long term. Solution that can be, for example, one side could be dedicated, customized solution, but at the same time, are the solution the most sustainable? How much this is going to cost? Is the technology evolving very fast? How much? How often we will need to do updates? So these are very, very important questions, I think, when we look about, let's say, community social learning solutions. Here, just to wrap, list the challenges, opportunities that are indeed related to the things we have seen together. So the challenges, of course, are related to the fact that digital tools change practices. So this has a great impact. The needs to use in context, legal and ethical consideration, try to avoid to marginalize people more instead of including them more with tools or solutions that are not very accessible. The rapid changes, and also what we observe, at least in Europe, the relatively limited availability of specific solution, edtech, so educational technology solution for adult learning. There is a lot, for example, in my opinion, for schools and even for education, but when we talk about non-formal education, perhaps very specifically designed, there is a bit less. On the other side, of course, plenty of opportunities. Of course, we all know the capability of reaching, for example, local or rural community, the possibility to have hybrid courses, hybrid programs where we have some online, some digital, some in presence, and the large availability, of course, so whatever is open source, so digital solution, but also resources. And nowadays, I would say also more and more the availability of low-tech solution with relatively complex feature. Let's say 10 years ago, having an eye-based tool on your phone would be practically impossible. Nowadays, devices are smaller, prices are getting cheaper, but this is not necessarily always possible or true. So this would be, let's say, my food for thought. In the slides that I think the colleagues will share with you, I also put some information about the projects I mentioned, and then some final reflection you could perhaps use, of course, in your process or in your organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Viola, for that fascinating intervention. Thank you for raising those really important points around inclusion, ethical considerations, accessibility, sustainability. And we really look forward to engaging with that report you mentioned that you will soon publish. I'm sure that many of the considerations you raised will arise also in our interventions from Learning Cities today. So thank you for providing that excellent foundation for our practical examples today. So now we will hear from Mr. Simon Kelly and Mr. Chris Mears from the Learning City of Glasgow in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Simon and Chris, you have 5 minutes, please. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. So thanks for the invite to present today on Glasgow's journey towards connected learning for our children and young people across the city. As Katie says, I'm Simon Kelly. I am Quality Improvement Officer within Glasgow's Education Improvement Services. And my colleague is Chris.
Yep, my name is Christopher Mear, Digital Development Officer for Glasgow City Council with responsibility for professional learning.
So we thought it'd be quite good to give you a little bit of a potted history of Glasgow's background, context. Glasgow is the largest local authority within Scotland. We have 32 mainstream secondaries, including the world's only Gaelic medium fully immersive secondary school. There's 145 primary schools and 22 additional support needs schools within the city. And we have more than 30,000 secondary pupils within our schools. Glasgow has the highest area of deprivation, with the number of free school meals being the indicator there. It was all roughly double or treble the national average, depending on the stage of schooling for our young people. In 2023, there were 43% of our secondary pupils between the age of 11 and 15 who were registered for free school meals. And roughly 16% of our children in the city live in workless households. But it gives you a picture of the deprivation that Glasgow sits within. Part of our makeup is we have a very multicultural range of pupils within our schools. There are 26% of our school population are not Indigenous to Glasgow. 71% of our pupils, English is not their first language, and that's the highest percentage in the country. And 51% of our pupils in secondary school have a recognised additional support need. Within our schools, we've talked about the English as an additional language. 43% of our young people recognise English as an additional language. When Glasgow started the Connected Learning Programme in 2018, the purpose of it was to enhance learning and teaching through the use of technology. Its goal was to improve the outcomes for our young people. And we recognised that 16% of young people left school in 2009 without a positive destination. And we wanted to see if we could identify ways to ensure better equity for our young people. So the percentage of young people who entered higher education in 2023 was only 38%, and it was important to kind of try and move that forward. 84% of our young people then received additional qualifications by the time they left, but we felt that the technology would ensure equity. It would be supportive to those children who had accessibility requirements. So 11% of our young people were diagnosed with dyslexia, and that would allow to support that as well. But we wanted to make sure that we moved away from a bring your own device idea. We wanted to make sure that every child in a Glasgow school had access to appropriate technology. It was important that we supported schools with their drive towards bringing technology in, and we created a specific role, a digital leader of learning, to support in schools to provide professional learning for our staff and to support the rollout across the school. But that was also supported at a central level, and we have a regional training centre that works with our young people as well, and that provides a high quality professional learning for our staff as well. There was obviously challenges around logistics and distribution. When the rollout started, it was just prior to COVID, and we had to accelerate things through COVID. So that kind of impacted on professional learning. But we think we've got to a situation at the back end of COVID where staff were fully engaged with it, as were schools. I've kind of briefly touched on the regional training centre, the importance of that high quality professional learning to support schools and staff take forward technology. And where we are now is we are just about to introduce our second connected learning, and we've taken a very aggressive approach to this. We have moved faster because we've now got the confidence of the staff to do that as well. I'll hand over to Chris to talk about the artificial intelligence across the city.
So Just to bring you up to speed, Glasgow was one of the first local authorities in Scotland to publish a comprehensive AI policy for schools, issued in draft format in January 2024 and consulted with all teachers across the city. Focuses on the principles from UNESCO and the European Commission of fairness, safety, privacy and inclusion, and also makes sure that AI is used to support learning while protecting pupils and staff. And the policy is updated each year so it stays relevant and practical. And to make this policy real in classrooms, we've given staff clear guidance. Every school has a one-page document that sets out expectations alongside the AI policy. Staff must use human oversight at the centre, and they can use AI to help with ideas or feedback, but they must check all outputs before using them in class, and no pupil school data can be added to any AI tool unless approved by a data protection impact assessment. Sorry, I've just realised that's our time. Our time ran out. Are we okay still to continue?
If you could sum up within the next minute or so, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay. No, not a problem. So all these guides are issued to schools to make sure they are compliant with AI tools. There's also pupil guidance that's issued as well, which centres around self-policing initially, and we're going to keep an eye on that to make sure that users are acknowledging when they are using AI in their assignments. It also builds up digital citizenship across the piece as well. We also have a list of AI-approved applications, and every tool is checked against the Glasgow pedagogy model to make sure that it supports core elements like questioning, feedback, assessment, differentiation, and collaborative learning. And current approved tools include the ones you see on screen there, with teachers remaining in control at all times, as AI assists the learning but does not replace them. And then looking ahead, we are looking towards Canva for Education, which is currently being reviewed as part of our DPIA process as well.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much to Simon and to Chris for that inspiring intervention. This is a really great example of how a city can really advance with an AI policy in a very concrete way. It's great to see the different guidance support you're offering there, but also really making sure the focus is on using AI as a supporting tool rather than replacing the role of educators. I think that's a really crucial consideration. Thank you so much again to both of you. Please feel free to share any questions you may have for today's speakers in the Q&A box. Just a quick note there for our audience. Now, let us give the floor to the city of Yeonpyeong-gu in the Republic of Korea and hear from Ms. Do-soon Hwang, who is a lifelong educator at the Civic Education Division of the Yeonpyeong-gu office. So this presentation will be delivered in Korean. To follow this intervention in English, please ensure you are in the English audio channel. To follow in Korean, however, please navigate to the original audio channel. Everybody else, please stay where you are. So let us now take a look at this recording provided by Miss Hwang. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Do-soon Hwang, a lifelong educator at the Eunpyeong District Office in Seoul. It is truly an honor for me to be here today and share Eunpyeong's experiences with all of you. To begin with, I'd like to note that AI-based digital education in Eunpyeong is still at an early stage. We have faced many trials and errors, but step by step, we're finding ways to integrate it into our learning practices. Today, I'll explain how Eunpyeong is applying to AI to lifelong learning and introduce programs designed for different age groups, showing how these efforts are gradually taking roots. First, let me introduce Eunpyeong-gu District. It is located in the northwest of Seoul, surrounded by mountain Bukhansan in a rich natural environment where urban life and nature exist in harmony. We have about 470,000 residents here. Eunpyeong-gu has various lifelong learning infrastructure, including Village University, Lifelong Learning Center, and online platforms. These resources allow residents to take part in learning opportunities. In 2024, Eunpyeonggu received the UNESCO Learning City Award, which allowed us to reflect on our efforts so far. Today, we are focusing on climate action and digital transformation, learning and working together with other cities. However, even with these infrastructure in place, new challenges have emerged in the midst of rapid changes. Like many other cities, Eunpyeong is facing issues such as rapid technological advancement, the digital divide, and the need for age-specific learning models. To address these challenges, we have developed four key strategies. First, intergenerational AI learning. Second, AI-enabled personalized learning. Third, combining local resources with technology. And fourth, inclusive participation that ensures sustainability. Our strategy follows a life cycle approach. For the youth, AI film projects foster creativity and digital literacy. For young adults, AI helps career development and future skills. For mature-aged professionals, digital inclusion workshops reduce the information divide, and for seniors, intergenerational creative writing improves digital literacy and mutual exchange. Together, this approach provides tailored content, builds connections across generations, and creates a sustainable learning ecosystem. Now, let me introduce our youth program, EM Lab 2025, the AI Film Academy. This program is designed for high school students and out-of-school youth with a special focus on vulnerable groups. It'll take place in July and August 2025 in connection with the Eunpyeong Film Festival. During the workshop, participants will use various AI tools such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, Gen3, and Sora. Through these tools, they experience the entire process of film production. First, they start with an orientation to set up the program. Then they learn how to create storyboards with AI support, receive basic education on AI and film production, and even generate unique film characters using ChatGPT. But the process doesn't end here. It helps the youth to realize their potential creativity. In the next stage, students move on to video editing and sound design.
다음 단계는 영상 편집과 사운드
Bringing
디자인을
their stories and
학생들의 자신이
characters
만든
to life
소설과
on
캐릭터를
screen with
영상으로
immersive
돌려놓고
audio.
몰입감 있는
They also
영상을
receive
직접
professional
생산합니다.
mentoring from
또한
experts in
전문가
film production.
리뷰를 통해
And finally,
영상의
they
전반에
present
대한
their
넓은
completed
비평을
works
올릴 수
at the
있습니다.
Youth Film Festival.
마지막으로 자신들의 작품을 은평
Through
청소년
this
영화제
journey,
무대에서 직접
students
발표하고
are not
성과를
only
공개하게
learning
됩니다.
about AI
이 과정을
technology,
통해
but
청소년들은
also
단순히
developing
AI 지식을
creativity,
배우는 것에
media
그치지 않고
literacy, and
창의성과
exploring future
디지털 미디어
career
역량,
opportunities.
그리고 미래 진로 탐색의 기회까지 얻게 됩니다. 청소년 프로그램에 이어 이번에는
Following the youth
청년들을 위한
program,
프로그램을
let me now
준비하였습니다.
introduce a program
은평구의
for young
17세에서
adults.
39세 청년들을
Eunpyeonggu
대상으로
organized a workshop
제너러티브
called
AI의
Generative AI
성장
and
인큐베이션
Career
워크숍을
Innovation
진행했습니다.
Workshop for
이
participants
프로그램은
aged
2025년
between
5월
19 and 39.
한신융합대학에서
It was
모두에서
held in May
운영되었으며
25
챗
at
GPT와
College of
챗
Social
AI
Innovation and
언론에게
Convergence Studies,
진행되었습니다.
free of charge and made
참가자들은
use of
AI
AI
시스템
tools such
파트를
as
통해 창의적인
ChatGPT.
프로젝트를
Through this
설계하고
program,
디지털
participants
포트폴리오를
engaged in
만들어
hands-on
보았습니다.
AI learning,
또한 미래 기술
designed
아이디어를
creative projects,
개발하고 자신에게
built
맞는
digital
진로 도구를
portfolios,
개발하는
and
작업을
developed future
했습니다.
skills. They
이
also
과정을
worked on
통해
career path
청소년들은
design,
단순히 기술을 배우는
aligning their
것을
learning
넘어서
with personal
AI를 활용하는
aspirations. The
AI를
workshop
활용한
aimed not only
창의적인
at building technical skills,
자기주도성과
but
적응력,
also at
그리고 실천을
strengthening career
교류하였으므로
management with AI tools,
미래를 준비하는 데
self-leadership and
큰 성과를
adaptability,
얻을 수
and
있었습니다.
employment and entrepreneurial
결과적으로 이
skills.
프로그램은 청년들이
Ultimately,
빠르게
this program
변화하는
helped young
디지털
adults
사회에
explore career opportunities in emerging industries while promoting lifelong learning and community engagement. Now, let me present an initiative that connects different generations. This is the AI-assisted creative writing journey, where young adults and seniors come together to share stories. In this program, participants use AI image generation to support storytelling, take part in intergenerational storytelling sessions, and even create digital books with AI assistance. The key features are: first, it promotes intergenerational communication. Second, it provides digital-friendly creative experiences. And third, it combines traditional storytelling with AI technology. Ultimately, the purpose of this program is to build bridges between generations through digital innovation. It shows how technology can help different generations learn from each other and create meaningful connections. Finally, let me introduce programs for mature-aged professionals and educational experts. For mature-aged professionals, aged 30 to 50, Eunpyeong provides support for career transition planning, digital literacy education, and hands-on workshops with industry experts. These initiatives help professionals strengthen their capabilities and adapt to new opportunities in the era of AI. For educational professionals, we offer programs that provide hands-on experience with AI tools, such as ChatGPT, discussions on educational applications, and the creation of knowledge-sharing platforms to foster communities of practice. Through these programs, educators enhance their planning capabilities and improve digital literacy in their educational settings. Now, let me conclude with the key messages and lessons learned. First, customized design, optimizing learning content for different age groups so that all generations can participate more easily. Second, enhanced inclusivity, expanding access for digitally excluded groups and ensuring equal opportunities for all. Third, sustainable ecosystem, building connected learning networks across generations to ensure long-term sustainability. Through this journey, we have observed four major achievements: bridging generations, implementing AI-enabled learning across all age groups, building inclusive digital learning infrastructure, and fostering strong community engagement. Ultimately, technology is not just about innovation, it's about creating meaningful connections across generations. This concludes my presentation on Eunpyeong's experience. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about the programs, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I look forward to continued learning and collaboration with all of you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, that was a fantastic intervention there. Thank you very much again to Miss Huang and the city of Yeonpyeong-gu. It was particularly fascinating to learn more about the city's efforts to use AI to bring different generations together in intergenerational learning and storytelling settings, but also great to see a very creative use of AI there in the context of the Film Academy that was mentioned. So, to continue this discussion then on the theme of digital learning and AI in learning cities, we wish to invite Miss Laura Lisette Enriquez, President Commissioner for Transparency and Personal Data Protection of Mexico City, or Info CDMX in Mexico, to share her insights. Now, this presentation will be delivered in Spanish, so to follow this intervention in English, please ensure you are in the English audio channel, and to follow in Spanish, please navigate to the original audio channel. Everybody else, please stay where you are. So, Laura, you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Good afternoon, Hamburg, and good morning from Mexico. It's a pleasure to share with all of you. As we have simultaneous translation, as Katie says, I'll continue to speak in Spanish if you don't mind. Así que, bueno, es un honor participar de
So, well,
verdad
it
en
is a
este
huge
seminario.
honor to
Fue
participate
la
with you
reunión
all
del
in this
tercer
seminary of
congreso de
the
UNESCO que
Global
organiza el
Network of
Instituto de Transparencia
Learning
y
Cities that is
Transparencia.
organized
Quiero
by
saludar ahí a
UIL
todos los colegas panelistas que
to
nos están
send the
acompañando, todas
greetings
las
to all the
personas que están
panelists, to
conectadas.
everybody who
Voy a
are
ser muy
connected as
puntual porque
well.
solamente
I
tengo
want to
5
be
minutos
very
y ya
accurate
con
because
gusto
I only have a
entraré
5 minute. I
compartir
was
mis
invited to this
experiencias
seminar
prácticas
to
de
share
aplicación,
practical experiences
aprendizaje
that are
inclusivo a
related
partir
to
del uso de herramientas
inclusive
digitales.
learning
Así que lo
by
que voy a tratar de
digital
presentarles es un
tools. So I'll
panorama
try to
de qué
present
es lo que
this
estamos haciendo desde el
scenario of
ámbito
what we are
público, lo que
doing
se
from the
desarrolla,
public
porque yo
concern
pertenezco a una
because
institución
I
pública.
belong to a public
Desde el
institution.
sector público lo que
So
estamos
from the
haciendo
public sector, what we
particularmente
are
desde el
doing,
Instituto de Transparencia
particularly
y
from this
Privacidad Digital de
Institute of
México, que como les
Transparency and
comenté,
Privacy of
yo
Data
soy
in
presidenta de
Mexico
este
City,
instituto
I
en
am the
nuestra ciudad.
director of this
El
institute in
enfoque
our
que le voy a
city.
dar en
The
particular
focus
a
that
esta
we are
presentación
giving in
tiene que ver
particular to
con
this
la materia de
presentation has
inteligencia
to do
artificial.
with the issue
Fíjense, les
of
voy a compartir
artificial
a partir de
intelligence.
4
And I'm going to
puntos.
share it out
El
of
primero,
4
¿por qué
points.
hablar de
Number
inteligencia
one, why
artificial
to talk
desde
about
este
artificial
Instituto de
intelligence
Transparencia y
from this
Privacidad de
Institute
la
of
Ciudad de
Transparency
México.
and Transparency
El
of
segundo,
Mexico City.
compartirles una
Number
iniciativa
two,
de
to
ley que
share to
se
you a
presentó en
bill, an
esta
initiative
materia.
of law
El
that was
tercero,
sharing this concern.
compartirles
Number
las
three,
acciones de
to share to
capacitación
you the
que se
actions
han
of
vinculado con
training that
inteligencia
have been
artificial
linked
desde
to
este
artificial
instituto.
intelligence
Y el
from this
cuarto,
institute.
también
And number
compartirles uno de los
four, to
proyectos que
share
hemos
to you
desarrollado
one of the projects that
utilizando
we
esta
have developed that
tecnología
are
y
using
con
this
el cual
technology,
mantenemos una
and out of which
comunicación
we are
con
establishing a
la sociedad en
communication
general.
with the
Es una
society in
manera de
general. So
empoderar a la
this is a way
sociedad
we are
y
empowering
de
society
acostumbrarla a
and
nuevas
how we are getting
tecnologías
it
y a
to
nuevas
use
formas de
to new
comunicación con
technologies
el
and new
gobierno.
ways of communication
Entonces,
with the
vamos por el
government.
primer punto.
So let's talk
Para
about
quienes
topic
no
number
nos
one.
conocen
For
todavía,
all of,
el Instituto
of
de
you who do
Transparencia y
not know who
Privacidad,
we are, the
nosotros lo
Institute of
conocemos como
Transparency and
Info,
Privacy,
hoy
that
en la
it is
Ciudad de
called that
México,
Info or Info
es una
Mexico City.
institución que se
It is
encarga de
an
garantizar
institution
dos
that is in
derechos
charge to guarantee
fundamentales
two
en la
essential
capital
rights
de
in
nuestro país, que
the
es el acceso a la
capital of our
información y
city,
la
access to
protección de
information
datos
and the protection of
personales.
personal
¿Y
data.
por qué un instituto de
And
esta
why a
naturaleza
public
tendría
institute
que
of this
abordar el
concern
tema de
should
inteligencia
talk
artificial?
about the issue
Bueno,
of artificial
porque
intelligence?
esta
Well, because
tecnología
this
incide, esta
technology,
herramienta incide de manera
this
directa
tool
en
has to
otros
do
dos derechos que
directly with
también
the
se
two
caracterizan o
rights
se
that we are talking
problematizan.
about.
Por un lado, porque nos
No,
permite
on one
abrir
hand, because it
nuevas
allows to open
posibilidades
up
para
new
poder gestionar y
possibilities
para poder
to
hacer más
manage
fácil el acceso a la
and to
información
make
pública para
easier
todas las
access to public
personas.
information
Pero
for
al
every
mismo tiempo
citizen.
nos está
And on the other
planteando
hand,
riesgos
it
importantes
plans important
para la protección de
risks
datos
to protect the
personales.
personal data.
Hay uso indebido o hay
There's an
riesgos
improper
asociados al
use or
uso de
there
estos
are
datos
risks
personales.
related to
A
the use of
diferencia
personal
de
data,
muchas partes del
as
mundo donde hay
opposed to
dos
some other places
instituciones
in the world
distintas
where
que
we
se
have
encargan,
two different
por un lado, de la materia
institutions
de acceso a
in
la información y
charge,
por otro
the
lado, de la
access of
materia de
information,
protección de
and on
datos
the other hand,
personales.
to protection of
Nosotros
data
somos una
personal.
única
We, in
institución
turn,
que se
we are
encarga de
one and
estas
only
dos
institution in charge
temáticas y
of
eso nos
both
hace
concerns.
distintos a
So
nivel
that
mundial
makes
porque
us
tenemos
different
como
at
que
a
un
world level.
equilibrio
So we
entre
need to find a
las
balance
dos
between the
perspectivas.
two of those
Además, quiero
perspectives.
decirles que cuando los entes públicos, las
So
instituciones
when
públicas,
the public
adoptamos sistemas
institutions we
automatizados de
adopt
decisión,
automatized
es
system of
importante,
decision,
muy
it is
importante, es
important, it
indispensable
is
asegurar
necessary to
transparencia
make sure
algorítmica, rendición de
transparency
cuentas
in
y
the
la protección de
algorithms,
derechos
the
fundamentales. De
accountability and
modo
the
que
protection of
la
essential
innovación
rights.
tecnológica
So the
está
innovation, the
siempre
technology
esté siempre al servicio
to
de la sociedad.
always serve
En el
the
caso de la Ciudad de
society.
México hay un
As for
reporte
Mexico City,
de una
there's a
institución
report
académica que es el
of an
Centro de
academic
Investigación de
institution that is
Ciencia
the Center
Económica,
of
conocidos
Research
como
of
CIDE,
Economics
que
Science of
identifica que en
CIDE
México
that
existen más de
identified that in
100
Mexico there
proyectos
are over
que
100
utilizan
different
ya
projects
inteligencia
that are
artificial
already
desde el
using
sector
artificial
público.
intelligence
En la
from the
Ciudad de
public
México en
sector. In
particular
Mexico
tenemos
City,
al menos
particularly, we have
12
at least
proyectos con
12
12
different
instituciones
projects
públicas
with 12
diferentes que estamos
institutions
ya utilizando
that we are
algún
already
sistema de
using
inteligencia
any
artificial
system
y por
of
eso no
artificial
queríamos dejar este
intelligence.
sistema de
And that is
inteligencia
why we don't
artificial de
want to
lado
leave
en un
this
plano
issue of
secundario.
artificial intelligence in a
Una de las
secondary
acciones, señores,
concern. One of the
muchas
actions,
gracias. Una de las
with the next
acciones que
slide,
emprendimos,
one of the
que
actions that
empezamos
we started
a
that
impulsar
we
desde el
really
Info Ciudad de
push
México
and
del
foster from
instituto desde el
Info
año
Ciudad de
pasado,
Mexico
fue
from
impulsar una
last year
iniciativa de
was
ley
to push a bill, an initiative of law, very unique in its nature before the Congress of Mexico City, not the Federal Congress, rather the Congress of Mexico City, to balance the use of artificial use by public institutions of the Mexico City. This has nothing to do with private institution because these institute that I represent is public, and I cannot present bills or initiative of law for the private concern. But we did it for the public institutions of Mexico City. What are we looking for? To guarantee the development and the application of artificial intelligence systems in public administration is under a legal frame to guarantee the rule of law, the ethics, and respect to privacy, because the issue of ethics had been left behind and we need to update it in our discussion. This bill, this initiative of law, was a result of a collaborative work between civil organization work, academy, and of course, the government, the public institutions, to set Mexico City in the all the challenges that all the race that artificial intelligence is presenting is a unique bill, initiative of law in this continental hemisphere in our planet, because it is a focus to protect personal data. This bill has given to the different commissions. It hasn't been approved or passed, but I think it's a very important document for other documents and other entities who are looking to foster this legislation of artificial intelligence, focusing in the protection of personal data. The second thing that I'm going to share to you would be programs of training. This effort, particularly in the concern of protection of personal data, has been ongoing for us in our institute, but namely in the context of the technology, we have had to adapt and customize and update our contents. In fact, we added up as well to the academic training, a specific training related to the introduction to artificial intelligence use in the public concern, but also in the private life of every citizen, so as to strengthen their technical capacities and to promote a culture of transparency and of confidence and of trust. This program has been given to 23 institutions of Mexico City. That is an initial effort because it is over 100 public institutions in Mexico City working with it, but we are already working with 23 institutions to strengthen their capacities. And finally, I want to share to you that inside the tools that we have fostered in this institute, we also have one that uses artificial intelligence. We call it a chatbot attic. This is a tool that was developed by our own institute, and of course, as many other tools that have been developed in the private concern, but it is harder in the public sector. It allows for people to interact with a chatbot by WhatsApp, but in this case, the consultation or the question can be to public information. They receive public information that needs to be available for everybody in seconds. Here in Mexico, we have 20 days term to access public information of all the country. However, in this chatbot, it allows you to access public information of Mexico City in seconds. So this is fed by artificial intelligence to keep learning about the time-wise about how to reply. This is a way to approach a human right that in Mexico is the access to public information by technologies that are more accessible. I'm posting this QR. The interaction is in Spanish, but we have over 100,000 interactions registered since it was launched. So definitely, this is a way to generate interactions with people. And well, I want to stick to time. Thank you very much for your attention. I really wanted to share to you these three lines of actions that we are doing from our public institute in order to foster an ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence, setting always in the center citizens, their human rights, time-wise. Well, this is general, but if you want to talk about any of the projects, you can see my information there, protection to personal data. The access to artificial intelligence is a challenge, but it is also a possibility to generate a very safe future. And those spaces are very important because I'm also learning of what other cities are doing in order to guarantee innovations without setting into risk the rights of people. Thank you very much. That will be all.
Perfecto. Muchísimas gracias, Laura,
Thank you
por
very much,
compartir sus
Laura, for
reflexiones y
sharing your
experiencia.
reflections and
Fue
your experience.
fantástico
It
conocer
was
los
very
resultados de su
amazing to get to know
investigación
the
que
training
mencionó y
programs
dar
that you
veces
mentioned.
que
And
destacó la
thank you very much
importancia de
that you
utilizar la IA
outstood
de forma
the
ética y transparente,
use of
también en el
artificial
ámbito del
intelligence in an
aprendizaje.
ethical and
Así que
transparent
muchísimas
way for
gracias, Laura.
learning. So thank you very
Ahora
much.
nos acompaña la señora
Now we
Daniela
have
Jaramillo,
Daniela Jaramillo,
directora de Innovación Educativa de la ciudad de
Director of
Envigado, en Colombia,
Educational
y el
Innovation in the
señor
city of
Arley
Envigado in
Mira,
Colombia, and Mr.
responsable
Arley
de
Mira,
planificación
who is
educativa de la misma
responsible for
ciudad,
planning
para
of the same city
compartir sus
of
experiencias y
Envigado to share their
oportunidades de
experiences with
aprendizaje
opportunities of
educadores y
learning
la IA a través del
and
enfoque
innovation in
ejemplo.
artificial intelligence.
Una vez más, esta
Once
presentación se
again, these
realizará en
presentations
español.
will be
Para
provided
seguir esta
in
intervención en inglés, por
Spanish.
favor,
To follow
asegúrense de
this in
estar en el
English, please
canal de
make
audio
sure
en
that you
inglés.
are
Para seguirla en
in the
español,
English
diríjanse
channel.
al
To
canal
follow it in
audio
Spanish,
original, por
please
favor.
remain in the
Daniela y
original audio.
Arley tienen
Daniela and
5
Arley,
minutos,
you
por
have
favor.
5
Tienen la
minutes.
palabra. Muchas
Please go
gracias.
ahead and continue. Envigado City Hall or Envigado Municipality. Well, thank you very much, Katie. As you know, this is Daniela Jaramillo. I'm a Director of Innovation of Envigado City. It is a huge honor for me to share to you the vision and actions that Envigado we have been implementing to potentiate education of STEM, the inclusion and the use in a conscious way of technologies, including artificial intelligence, like that a transformation motor of education. In Envigado, we are very proud to be acknowledged as a learning city by UNESCO and as a regenerative territory. That is to say, it is a vision that translates that quality education, that transformation pertaining and connected to the challenges of this 21st century. I want to start off telling you, please, next slide. Let me tell you that from Envigado, the robotic competences have been institutionalized in an yearly event from 2019. This is a key strategy so that students may take challenges that are related to the social concern, to the environmental concern, by the use of the technologies. Each year, those challenges are different, focus in contextualized problems with the territory. That is to say, for example, I can say in pandemics, we developed a robot for disinfection so that we could achieve hand washing without having physical contact. So for this year, we have the robotic Olympic Games that is a focus or center the mission of rescue medcare based in the problems of territory, thinking, for example, on slides, earthquakes, and how we can have access, for example, to the immediate surrounding places that the human being cannot may have access to, for example, during in the catastrophe or an earthquake, for example. Here we have technological solutions focused on STEM sciences and far beyond being a technical competence. This is an event that is consolidated as a pedagogic procedure to foster the citizenship so as to share different technological solutions to have a purpose. Please, next slide. Next. Why this focus? Well, we can say that we have a base question how we can use technology to take care of the life of our territory. That is the challenge. It comes out by reading and understanding our environment to take real problems like earthquakes, forest fires, and those difficulties of access in the middle of the emergency. This turns technology into an excuse of teaching so that students get to know each other and to be those citizens able to transform their realities. Furthermore, we can say that inside this process, We have different companies, private companies that are participating with these initiatives. They are strategic alliances, the Fire Corps, the University of Envigado, the Center of Innovation and Development, private companies that enrich this process with their experience, with their backgrounds and resources as well. Please, next slide. I would like to mention as well some of the methodologies and tools that we are using. We visualize ourselves in the future, sitting and planting with a sense. In order to achieve it, we are supported by those methodologies. For example, this learning based on challenges, in how we are using those technologies. By Tinkercad, we facilitate the design, the robotic 3D design, the designment of the circuits. The students learn to program those microcontrollers. They also work with IT, with different apps. And those apps might not be related to artificial intelligence. It facilitates the access and integration to functions related to artificial intelligence. We use kit of robotics, and this kits allows this physical implementation and the materialization of ideas and design. From our strategy, we are thinking in the development of competences for the 21st century, for the fourth industrial revolution. This is a focus that goes far beyond of just creating a robot. We are focusing essential skills of the 21st century in the computing, logical thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, the collaboration and work team, creativity and innovation, multimodal communication, resilience, ethical use of those tools regarding the technology. Inclusion and equity. Well, we call it breaking barriers. That is to say that those Olympic Games are open up for sixth degree students to the 10th degree students. We foster the equitable participations of girls in robotics and programming. This goes a focus in the challenge of a gender stereotype to have this gender gap closing. Let me tell you as well that we have a urban system of learning with artificial intelligence from the Center of Innovation and Development of Envigado. We are consolidating this Center of Sciences that goes for on-site training, connects technology to the territory, developing different initiatives to integrate artificial intelligence like that tool of inclusive learning. Some initiatives would be Señor T or Mr. T for the senior, and providing this technology for daily life, including the use of artificial intelligence. We can say, for example, if they want to apply for a medical consultation, we have an alliance with the Antioquia University there. We have open boot camps for the community, including artificial intelligence training program and digital skills in a general way. We also have another initiative. It's called Medcare Impact. Daniela, I'm sorry to interrupt this interesting intervention. We need to close your interventions in 2 minutes so that we can close the webinar. So if you could finish as soon as possible, that would be great, amazing. There we are working all this teaching environment with students, with teachers. Next slide, please, next slide. All right, here we are thinking the future with artificial intelligence for this STEM week of Envigado 2025. We are going one step ahead in order to include the issue of robotics. We are going to have this competition with artificial intelligence and forum with ethicals and technology. We are by robotics and computational thinking, we are generating and creating the structure so that our students not only understand artificial intelligence, but also they will become those active and conscious creators of solutions. Yes, please, next one. And here, as a conclusion, we have two things. We know we don't create technicals and professionals. We also create criticals, empathic, and citizens. We also understand artificial intelligence like an inclusion, innovation tool, and for the educational transformation. That would be all, Katie. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias,
Thank you
Daniela.
very much,
Buenas
Daniela. It
intervenciones,
was
súper
a very
interesante
amazing and
y
super
súper
interesting
práctica también.
intervention and very
Muchísimas
practical as
gracias.
well.
So
So
thank you so
thank you
much,
very
Daniela,
much.
and also to Arley. We really do appreciate that very insightful presentation there. Thank you so much for raising those important points around inclusion and equity too. So today, I don't think we will have so much time for Q&A, unfortunately, given the very enriching presentations we've had from one expert and four learning cities. However, I would like to say thank you very much to our presenters for your great contributions to today's webinar. I personally found the interventions and experiences you shared here very, very enriching, and I do hope that other cities can take away inspiration from all of our presenters today in their efforts to continue their great work in this increasingly important area as learning cities. So many thanks to all of you for joining us, and I really do hope that there will be other spaces looking ahead, given the relevance of this topic, to be able to exchange further on related themes. So I would now like to invite Mr. Raul Valdez, Chief Program Coordinator AI at UIL and the GNLC Coordinator, to deliver his closing remarks. So Raul, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Katie. I think it was a very excited presentation. It's a pity we didn't have time for more discussions. I think we need to have another webinar on this topic, because it's quite relevant, and there's a lot that cities are doing on this. So we need to think about it. But thank you very much to all presenters for the great contribution to today's webinar. I found really the intervention and experience you share here so enriching. I hope that other cities can take away this inspirational of what was presented. And I think today's presentation explored really innovative ways in which digital tools are being leveraged in cities-based learning systems to foster lifelong learning. It was wonderful to learn from concrete initiatives used to incorporate digital and AI-based solutions to make lifelong learning. It was really nice from the 5 presenters, the European Association of Adult Education, Glasgow, Ampeong, Mexico City, and Envigado. Many thanks for the thoughtful and inspirational contributions. I would like also to thank UL colleagues. Thank you, Katie, for this quite challenging moderation, but you, as always, managed quite well. But all the colleagues involved in the preparation and facilitation of the webinar, particularly this one, but in general in the webinar series. And I'm looking forward to our upcoming event. You can find our full calendar and more information about each session on the UL website. We would also like to remind you that as the GLC member city, we would like to hear from your experiences. So if you're interested in presenting in one of the webinars this year, please use the survey being shared by our team in the chat. Our next webinar will take place on Wednesday, 15 October at the same time as today. And this event is titled Exploring Learning through culture, leveraging the arts of empower cities. Registration is now open for this. I think it's also very excited to hear how arts are related and articulated with learning processes and empower citizens through arts and learning. We wish you a very nice day or evening ahead. Thank you all.